Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker with Terrible Home Care. Very glad you are joining us. However you may be joining us, we appreciate it. You know, it's always good to be able to get updates, especially from the people who know what's happening. One of those in our parish is Mr. Earl Eues, friend and colleague here. Welcome to the show.
Keith, good to be here, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Nice warm jacket.
Yes.
Sporting there.
I thought about
Nice.
maybe taking your place this session.
We can switch. I mean, if you want to ask the questions, that's good. My problem is, Earl, I don't know what you know. And
I'm not sure about that.
as the director of Terrible Parish Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. So speaking of, Earl, let's talk about what's different here in our preparation for this cold weather system that's coming through. We're expecting some freezing temperatures. What's different at the EOC? Let's talk about how it's different for you guys now versus a hurricane.
Well, you know, usually we have a pretty good advance notice of what's coming down. I mean, we've been knowing for about a week we're going to have very cold temperatures for Christmas time. What we did not know is how much precipitation we would have.
Right.
So as the days get closer, you know, the Weather Service is good about letting us know the precipitation. Everybody wants snow for Christmas, but unfortunately, or fortunately for us,
Right.
There will be no snow or freezing precipitation with this cold event. But you know, basically, Keith, it's not really that much different. We're still in contact with GOSEP, the state office up there. We reach out to, you know, we've reached out to the water plant, to the Terrible Parish Consolidated Water Districts. We reached out to the utility company, you know, the parish utilities especially, making sure that they're prepared and what we can expect, you know, doing it. So it's a little different because you know what parties you have to talk to and get information from, whereas like during the hurricane event, we'll have the whole room full of people.
Right,
So, but
So it's just a little different line of communication,
it's just a little different. I mean, like we've been in touch with our Louisiana Department of Health officials. You know, we've been in contact with the hospitals, people that we think would know that may need some services in the event that we lose some type of infrastructure. When I say that, like, you know, gas service, water service, electricity, you know, how are these things going to be restored if needed to be?
Yeah, and I got to tell you, I'm one of those people that we were just talking a little bit about last time we had a really cold weather event. It was several years ago, and we had snow back then. I didn't realize that, you know, fortunate that we were able to kind of spend a little time with Entergy, the company Entergy, about just a half an inch of snow or ice creates 500 pounds of pressure on those electrical lines.
On the lines, that's correct. And that, you know, I mean, the biggest issue, you get a lot of ice built up on these tree limbs, and those fail also.
Right.
And then they fall on the lines also.
Right.
So I'm grateful that the little bit of precipitation that we're going to have, which will be tomorrow, it's I think I looked at it on the Weather Service, it's like 0.077 of an inch.
Right.
Not even close to anything. And with the amount of wind that we're going to have.
And that's on Thursday, right?
That's
It's
on
gonna take
Thursday.
place on
That's
Thursday.
correct.
Today.
And with that, with the wind, it's going to evaporate most of that precipitation.
And so it's really interesting because we get to a point where that precipitation, if it's low enough, the wind will make it dissipate.
Right.
But if it's much more than that, the wind makes it colder and freezes it faster.
It could freeze. And like, you know, I want people to understand that we may have some icing on some bridges, you know, and overpasses, which is normal during these low temperatures, but it's not like the whole roadway
Will be shut down.
Will be shut down.
Well, and that's one of those things that was kind of interesting. Very glad to have on this week as well. Troop C talking with us. We were able to talk to Trooper Ross Brennan and Sergeant James Anderson, and they were just talking about the importance of, look, you don't want to meet us because you had a wreck. And I said, you don't want to meet them if you bypassed a barricade and then they meet you after you have a wreck, because then that's a double whammy. So just pay attention to those. And if people are traveling, know where you're going, know what's closed.
Yeah, and you know, DOTD and state police have been prepared for this since the beginning of the winter season.
Right.
If you pay attention, there's some barricades at the intersections of Highway 90 right now that's been there just in case they need it during the winter months.
That is correct. And so they reference that as well. Yeah. That's one of those things that I love, the fact that it echoes how important all of that communication is, that y'all kind of coordinate and be able to do that for that. And so volume of people is also different. over at the EOC?
Yeah, well, we really don't activate for an event like this. We usually just have a meeting before and
Right.
just kind of meet with everybody and say, hey, are you prepared to do this? What happens? If you
Right.
need something, let us know. The issue right now, it's a holiday weekend.
Right.
So we've been meeting mostly by phone and conversing and communicating through phone calls, making sure that everybody's ready and has what they need in the event that something does occur.
Yeah, one of the things that they were telling us through Entergy as well is the importance of the communication through all of both the parish government, through the waterworks, and through municipalities, and through the EOC, but also through police and fire departments and all of those people as well. Y'all coordinate that as well.
That's correct. I mean, we've spoken to all the public service agencies,
Right.
Public safety agencies, and I understand Paula was on one of your shows from Entergy. Her and I speak together on issues that occur. We try to keep communications open all year long, even if
Right.
there isn't an event.
Right.
So that if something does occur, we know what each other's actions are going to be during that particular event.
Yeah, and just knowing what people's responsibilities are, knowing what their needs are. And we'll talk a little later in the program about needs and how people can get help if they need it. But we certainly are really glad that the EOC is that central communication for anything that happens in the parish. And so we're real thankful for that.
Yeah, and we're grateful that we have a great relationship with the public safety agencies and all of the agencies that we need to run our facility or to facilitate the parish operations in the event that we have any type of disaster or some people call it an unusual event.
Right. And this weather event we're hoping is a good thing without a whole lot of issue. But let's talk about what you've been hearing about what to expect.
So over the next few days into Monday after Christmas,
Right.
actually.
So from today, Thursday, on through Monday.
That's correct. We're going to have temperatures in the low teens. That's your air temperature, regular air temperature. We look somewhere around 23 degrees, which is
Okay.
cold.
Yes.
And then we can expect some wind chills anywhere between 10 to 14 degrees.
Wow.
Which is very cold. And I like to remind people, if you think it's cold outside, so do your pets.
Yeah.
So
And
bring your
plants.
pets, especially with that type of wind chill. Your pets need to be inside.
Absolutely.
Okay, if possible. If not, having a closed place for them and some blankets for them,
Yeah.
But and then Thursday we're under a wind advisory from 9 p.m.
To tonight, Thursday night, right?
Till tomorrow at noon.
Okay. Wind advisory Thursday, the 22nd, at around 9 p.m. until Friday
At around noon.
noon. Okay, Friday noon. Wind advisory.
30 to 35 mile an hour gust.
Okay.
So that's what's going to provide that 10 to 14 degree wind chill.
Right. And so what people need to know is, and one of the things that they reminded us with Entergy as well, is that linemen cannot go out if there's any winds that are upwards of 30 miles an hour. So people need to be aware and be prepared for if the electricity were to go out, what to do. Let's talk about what they need to do if that happens.
That's correct. So so you should have another heat source if you have one.
Okay.
Okay.
Warm bodies?
Warm bodies. If there's no electricity, it's not advisable to burn your stove, or, turn your stoves on because
Right.
of the carbon monoxide issues.
Okay.
You need plenty of blankets.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need to find a way for everybody to be warm.
Right. And then hopefully the electricity will only be out a short period of time.
Right. So your house
So-
won't decline with that temperature.
That's correct.
Without the heat that's
That's
on.
correct. So sometimes when we have cold weather like this, there's a increase in the usage of electricity.
Right. Right.
And
They went over that as well.
So sometimes they have to do what they call a brownout, where they will cut your electricity off for a few minutes. When I say a few minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. And it's called a rolling brownout because
Right.
they go into different sections of the towns or different cities that may have to experience that in order to keep the electrical grid up and running.
Right.
So if your electricity goes out during a brownout, just be expecting it to be out for 15, 20 minutes if that occurs.
Right.
But without electricity in any gas source, the only way to keep warm is to have plenty of blankets. Okay. Some people do not like to run their heaters all the time and keep at constant temperature in their homes. Well, you might want to do that this weekend.
It's a good consideration, right?
Because if your electricity goes off, you want your house to be warm already.
Right.
You know, so yeah, make sure that they have that. You know, I'm telling people to be prepared to have some food available in case the electricity goes out and you can't cook.
Right.
Like you might want to go fill up your propane bottles so you can maybe go outside cooking, you know, in a safe place. It is the holiday weekend, so Sunday most of the stores are going to be closed.
Absolutely. Right.
So if something occurs on Sunday, you need a backup on what you're going to eat on Sunday. So my family's expecting me to bring food over to their house, but if I don't have a way to cook it, it's not going to get to their house cooked.
Right.
So so there are some things you need to be prepared for. Pipes. I can't stress that any more than I can. You know, all the last few days, people need to take care of their pipes.
Right.
And when they ask you to run a little water, that does not mean an open stream.
No,
you know,
it's
that's just a pencil drip, a pencil stream
Right.
of water coming out. You don't have to open it full-fledged.
Right.
So those, you know, and then like the mistake I did today, I tried to go buy some coverings for my spigots on the outside. There are none available in town. Okay.
Oh.
Not a couple places that I went. So, you know, the best thing to do, a couple things. You can wrap a towel around it
With tape?
with tape or put a bag over it, one of the plastic bags over it, and tape that so it doesn't get wet.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
And then the other thing you can do is put baby diapers on it and tape it. Okay. So that's got some insulation with it.
A couple of alternatives.
So, you know, we haven't experienced these temperatures since about 1989. It's been since we've had this
when
low
it snowed.
of temperature. It did snow.
Yeah. Now they had that over in these kinds of temperatures in Baton Rouge just a couple of years ago, right during COVID. I was stuck
Yeah.
because I couldn't get home. Bridges were closed, and so we just need to kind of be prepared for. We're not expecting the precipitation, but if we get some, there may be some closures, and so just pay attention. We can, you know, lots of places we can get resources. You know, starting out with 511 on your phone. You can go to Louisiana State Police website. You can find out information through your website as well.
And if you're looking for road closures, if you're traveling during the next few days, go to the DOTD website.
Right, DOTD website, www.dotd.com.
Yeah, or www.511la.gov.
LA.gov. That is
LA.gov.
correct. Yeah. About the pets that we need to take care of. What about the plants?
Well, look, let's talk about the important things first.
Okay.
So we talk about the 4 Ps.
Okay.
So people, plants, pets, and pipes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So the most important thing on that 4 Ps is the people.
Right.
So check on your neighbor.
Right.
Check on your relatives.
Who are the people in your neighborhood? You gotta
check on your
them.
family.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that they know that they have somebody to call if it gets too cold in their house, or you never know, the heater might break that day.
Yeah, that's
Okay?
exactly right. Heaters break.
Yeah. So just make sure that they know that, hey, if something happens, you can call me and I'll go pick you up and you can come stay at my house. Okay.
Right.
So that's the most important thing is the people. So, and then I think the next important thing is the pets.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's take care of our little friendly animals and
Our little four-legged friends.
Our four-legged friends. Make sure
Or
they
those
have
with
a-
wings. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
birds.
Make sure
I got a
they-
friend with birds.
Make sure they have a place to
James.
go and that they're going to be warm. And, you know, if you can't bring them inside, you know, make sure they have a little place that's kind of covered and maybe put extra blankets in the dog house. And, you know, maybe you can make some type of cover over the front.
Or if you make your wife really, really angry, make sure that you have a good, comfortable spot with the dog in the doghouse.
Yeah.
This Christmas season.
So let's make sure
Yeah,
they're taken
pets,
care
right.
of. And then, you know, we'll go with the pipes. Make sure that you take care of your pipes. We kind of talked about that a
Well,
little bit.
but what we did talk about was all these people that are still in temporary
Housing, which is mostly the FEMA trailers
Right.
and the state trailers, travel trailers. So with that, those trailers were not installed to be winterized.
That's correct.
Okay, so they need to run their water. They need a trickle drip on their water system so that their pipes do not freeze.
And that doesn't have to be hot water.
It doesn't have to be hot water. It just needs to be
water,
a
'cause
little
you just
pencil
don't want it to
stream.
freeze.
That's correct. So make sure that you do that, because remember, if that freezes, you no longer have any water for your bathroom or your sinks.
That is correct.
You know, for cooking.
You have
and
no
stuff.
running water.
You have no running water. So make sure you take care of that. All of the FEMA trailers and state temporary travel trailers have heat. They all have a heating mechanism,
Right.
some type of heater, which will accommodate those trailers as far as heat goes. So
Right.
they'll be okay in there. But the biggest issue is the water.
Right.
Make
Run
sure that
water.
you run some water
During the day and at night while we're under this
while
freeze
we're under
warning.
freeze warning. And we could have freezing temperatures for a total of about 36 hours for the next three days.
Off and on.
Off and on. It's not, steady freezing, but during the day we're going to have some rises above the freezing temperature, maybe for a couple of hours, 4 hours.
But then it's gonna go back.
It's going to go
And it's
back
gonna stay that
down
way all night.
to freeze. That's correct. So make sure you have that. If you are in a temporary trailer or a temporary housing unit, please make sure that if you're going to run a heating device, a heater, that it's 3 to 4 feet away from anything that's combustible.
Yes.
Make sure it's one of the ones that if it gets tumped over, it turns off automatically. And
Automatic shut off.
do not use a strip, a electric strip where you plug a lot of different
Plug
things
it
in
directly
there.
into the
Plug
wall.
it directly into the socket,
Right.
and that you don't overload the socket, and you could cause a fire if you do overload that
Yeah.
socket.
The last thing we need is to warm up by a fire.
Right. And
That kind of fire.
personally, if I was in a temporary housing trailer, I personally wouldn't run it at night while I was sleeping. Okay, I would make sure I have enough blankets,
Bundle up.
to bundle up and wear some warm pajamas, so that way you don't have to run it at night.
And some thermal socks.
Yeah, I'm scared of fire.
We should all be. We should all be aware of that and prepared. Now, from a plant standpoint, bring your plants in, cover your plants. We shouldn't have to worry about a lot of water on top of them, so you just got to make sure you keep them warm enough. But also, if you've got fruit or fruit trees, you probably should go pick them.
Well, if you have orange trees right now that are full of oranges, they're going to freeze.
They're going to freeze
tonight.
Right,
tomorrow.
it's freezing tonight. That's right, on Thursday night. Go pick them, pull them.
So you need to pick those.
Get your
before it
friends,
gets-
pull those.
because once that fruit's frozen, it's not going to be any good. So, but let me go back to the heater issue.
Okay, real quick,
Okay, you
because I
need
want to
to
talk about people that may need help.
You need to have a smoke detector in your home that is
Oh,
working.
that's right. Check
okay?
the batteries, make sure they're working.
That's correct. And make sure you have a carbon monoxide detector
as
also.
well. Right, very important. And if in fact you see someone or you know someone that is actively homeless in this cold weather, two options. If it's in the city limits, call HPD at 873-6371. If it is somewhere in the parish, you can call Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office, 876-2500. If you see something, please call about that. We don't want anybody to freeze, and we don't want anybody to be challenged. But it's only for people that are homeless, and they have to call the police to coordinate that. They're going to monitor that for us.
That's correct. Please call the local law enforcement. The Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Tim Sonia has reached out to us and is willing to help. So call the Sheriff's Office. They'll go check on that person.
Right.
And then Homeland Police Department through Chief Dana Coleman and Parish President Gordy Dove, they're going to do the same thing. So if you see somebody that is living in a car, in a tent, or
just
out
outside,
on the street, just
right,
out on
in the
street,
elements.
in the elements, give the police department a call. They will go check on that person and provide some assistance.
Same for our neighboring parishes. If you're watching this in Lafourche or wherever it is that you're watching this in St. Mary, please call your local law enforcement. They can help with those people who may be homeless and take care of that. Earl, some great recommendations. I appreciate it. Guys, take care of the 4 Ps. I know Earl's going to do that. I didn't know if one of them was pie. It's the holiday season, but it's probably not pie. But it will be to take care of everybody else. Earl, we appreciate it. All right, guys, that will do it for this particular show. Don't go anywhere. A lot more here on HTV.